This is a walkthrough of the full messaging guide template. It's important to keep in mind that the reason behind this is to have consistent communication across the entire institution so we can break through with our message, to ensure that any piece of communication has compelling and authentic stories that fit within the overall brand narrative and is anchored in positive change. Another important note is that this is not a word-for-word roadmap. It is a flexible framework for organizing key messages, building your story, and strengthening communications. In this video, we'll show you how to use the brand strategy, the overall positioning around positive change, and the functional benefits to build your message. This presentation will try to answer the following questions: how to adapt your identity to reflect your faculty, division, or area within York's brand, how to choose the right content to fit within York's brand, and how to adapt your messaging to fit within York's brand, how to creatively bring that message to life, and finally, a summary chart for usage. To do so, we split it up into 3 specific sections. The first is master brand alignment. This answers that first question: how to position your faculty or area within the overall York brand strategy. The messaging map answers the question: how to pick content to make sure that it fits within the overall brand strategy, and how to build that messaging out using the functional benefits, proof points, and content that support the overall brand strategy. And then finally, the creative expression of the overall brand strategy, the tone and voice of how the message or story of any York communication comes to life, and when and how to use it. Master brand alignment, again, answers the question of how to adapt your positioning to reflect your faculty or division or area within the overall York master brand. The most important point to start off with this idea is we only have one brand and one brand promise, and it is fundamentally defines everything we do, how we act, speak, and behave. And it makes us stand for something and gives us the unique space in consumers' or prospective students' minds relative to the other post-secondary institutions in our competitors. So having a consistent and authentic expression of that promise will be essential to continued growth and effectiveness. To do so, we need to align all institutional communications and marketing materials under this shared sense of purpose and a shared commitment to create positive change for our students, our communities, and the world around us. Everything is rooted in our brand strategy. There can only be one brand promise and strategy across the institution. In writing, messaging, or adapting your identity, you must express your area's uniqueness while staying true to the brand positioning. There should not be an individual or specific brand positioning or even tagline for any given faculty or area. Each faculty should instead have an expression of how they are creating the positive change that aligns with the master brand and functional benefits. We are a community of change makers. The aim is for all faculties to fit within the overall brand strategy while still having the opportunity to have a unique expression that ladders up to make sure that we have a consistent, authentic communication across the entire institution. How do we do that? All areas or faculties and areas must work within this flexible framework to bring that to life. Here's the master brand positioning. Driven by passion, we exist to create positive change for our students, our communities, and the world around us. And then here's how to create the unique expression of the overall positioning strategy for each individual faculty, division, or area. For example, for the Faculty of Health, this could be committed to creating positive change for our students, our communities, and the world around us by keeping more people healthier longer. This ladders up to the overall master brand. It will help ensure we have consistent and authentic communication across the entire institution that gives our messaging or positioning strategy focus and context. The first thing we'll answer here is how to choose the right content to reflect York's brand. And then once you have your topic, story, or area of focus, we'll show you how to use our framework to bring this content to life in a way that is reflective of York's overall brand strategy, and again, make sure we have consistent and authentic content. All content must be related to the overall brand strategy and reflect at least one functional benefit. The brand strategy should be used as the North Star for all communication and content chosen to bring that narrative to life. An easy trick to do this is to ask yourself, does this message or piece of content show how York is creating positive change for our students, our communities, or the world? If yes, use our framework to build it up. As you craft any story or piece of communication at the institutional or faculty or local level, you have to make sure that this is ultimately grounded in our overall brand strategy. How to adapt your messaging to reflect York's brand. We've created this framework to help bring this message to life. Follow the map from top to bottom to create a message. Start with the main message and move down to the supporting benefits and relevant proof points. Ultimately, how this works is that any story or piece of communication starts with the brand strategy, positioning your message through the lens of positive change. To add more value, context, or focus to any piece of messaging, you have to choose the functional benefits that support your message and tailor it to your audience or area of focus. We're going to go into more detail for each of these 5 functional benefits in the next couple of slides. To add another layer to each piece of communications, there's an opportunity to take the functional benefits and add the relevant proof points to bring that message to life. Step 1, starting with the brand strategy is the first step to building any message. Position your message through the lens of positive change. By aligning your message with the master brand, it becomes more focused and impactful. Step 2, using the relevant functional benefits to bring that strategy to life around positive change, our messaging is organized under 5 key functional benefits. They are 1, diverse community, an exceptionally diverse community working together to tackle complex societal challenges. 2, purposeful research that advances knowledge and creates positive change. 3, a valued educational experience. 4, an inclusive, supportive, and caring environment. And 5, a collaborative environment that embraces collaboration, new ideas, and a strong sense of purpose. These 5 functional benefits help differentiate York and guide messaging, and therefore, every communication should deliver on at least one of these benefits in an emotionally compelling way. You choose the functional benefits that are most relevant to your communication. For example, if you're talking about sustainable initiatives at York and want to position that around the theme of positive change, the relevant functional benefits that support that message might be purposeful research and collaboration. Another important point is that each benefit should be viewed through the lens of both your audience and your area of focus. For example, the way you present these functional benefits is different for our general audience versus our alumni audience. Each audience has additional proof points or motivations that are specific to them, so how you communicate your message might differ slightly depending on who you're talking to and what your area of focus is. But the fundamental 5 key functional benefits that define the overall brand and support our brand strategy are the same every time, but just conveyed differently depending on who and what you're talking about. This example here shows the difference in how we speak to our general audience versus how we present information to alumni. Then we move down into the relevant proof points. Each functional benefit should be supported with additional proof points. These are supporting statements that add context and focus to brand communications. All messages can be customized with institutional or faculty-specific proof points. So, for example, if we're talking about a diverse community as a key functional benefit for York at the institutional level, a proof point that could bring that to life and also add focus and context would be home to one of the largest and most diverse student bodies in Canada, including 53,000 plus students, almost 18% of whom are international students. This gives you an idea of how you can add that extra layer to give weight and support to all levels of messaging. Next is building your message. Again, our framework at a high level overview. Start by positioning your message through the lens of positive change to make sure everything is grounded in our overall brand strategy and advancing the narrative that York is creating positive change for our students, our communities, and the world around us. Second, choosing the functional benefits that best support your message, using at least one in every piece of communication to help bring that message to life. And 3, providing further support with the relevant proof points that add focus and context to any piece of communication. The end result being an authentic and consistent message across the entire institution, grounded in the foundational guidelines that define the brand, and all laddering up to help advance our brand positioning and overall positioning strategy around positive change. Another important point is the emotional benefits that define York. These emotional benefits represent how we want people to feel when they interact with us. We want our audience to feel inspired, empowered, confident, welcome, proud, and cared about, and our tone to be warm and friendly. So we all must create content with these traits in mind. So the functional benefits should be proof point to illustrate what we're talking about. The emotional benefits are how you want people to feel. So very much the tone and feel of any piece of messaging. Once you've set your messaging, it's important for the messaging to always reference the functional benefits, but your approach should change with each audience depending on their different motivations. Choosing how you communicate the functional benefit is dependent on the specific audience you're talking to. You will see in the messaging matrix that there are messages by audience based on the comprehensive research to help you craft your messaging. Here are some of the additional benefits that are unique to each of our core audience groups and something that must be kept in mind when delivering a message to each specific audience. This is a messaging checklist that goes over how to bring your messaging to life. One being, does your message support the overall brand strategy and our commitment to positive change? Two, have you included the relevant functional benefits to add more focus and context to your messaging? Three, do you have the necessary proof points to support your message? Four, is the tone of your message ambitious, confident, inspiring, friendly, calm, or caring, in line with our emotional benefits and how we want to make sure people feel when interacting with your and our content? And five, is your message relevant to your audience, making sure that you're considering the individual proof points that are specific to each of our core audience when crafting the message. Next is the creative platform, which explains how the message comes to life creatively. Our creative platform defines how we say it, and that is very much an expression of our brand strategy or message. It helps elevate our messaging to differentiate York and create content that stands out. Write the Future is our creative platform. Amazing things happen when diverse communities work together to tackle world issues. When York students apply their knowledge, they have the power to make things right. Although this is reserved for high-level institutional advertising campaigns and presidential communication and requires communications and public affairs approval, this is the inspiration and feel behind any piece of communication. Our template, the functional benefits, proof points, brand strategy that define what we talk about, this is how we talk about it. External communication should capture the tone and spirit of Write the Future. Use it as inspiration to bring your message to life and to communicate that we are a driving force for positive change and what that specific change is. A few examples of how that comes to life. This is an example of talking about a piece of communication and using the creative platform as a lens to bring that to life. Notice that we are clear about what the positive change is and who it impacts. Example, before, grad student helps victim of human trafficking. And then using the creative platform, after, together we are creating positive change by helping victims of human trafficking. And another one, using the essence of the creative platform and promise. Before, your donation can impact a student. After, your donation won't just impact a student, it could impact the world. Also be sure to review the chart on brand positioning guidelines for communication on the next slide. It illustrates how to incorporate the brand in what circumstances and what type of communication. This first chart is about external audience and even more specific about incorporating the brand, including audience in this left column and type of communication, and then examples of communication channels in the row below. Starting from the left, you can use the power to make things right sparingly. Creating positive change should be used in major initiatives, headlines, quotes, and subject lines. Of course, positive change can't be used for everything. So you can use other synonyms like impact and public good to ensure it is not overused in more casual communications. In terms of functional benefits, all of your communications should highlight one of these and should be mentioned within the first paragraph. Emotional benefits and tone should be present at all times. For internal audiences, you will see a similar setup, and you can review this closer when you have the time. It is more casual versus external audiences, and there's a lot less detail. The last slide shows some of the tools and resources that have been developed to help you select and tell your stories with the brand in mind. For example, when you are interviewing someone for a story or communication piece, a good question to ask is, how does your research program initiative support positive change, and amongst what communities? This helps ensure the interviewee can frame their answer in a way that helps make the brand live. And finally, refer to the brand website for best practices and tools.